In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your driver's upper door hinge. However, the process will be the same for all other door hinges on this vehicle, which is a 2008 to 2010 Ford F-250. To do this, we're going to have to remove the door and separate it from the body. Just keep that in mind that you'll most likely need a second person as well as at least one jack or jack stand to put the door on. Pull it away, separate it just enough to get that door hinge off. Now, you may not necessarily have to, depending on how you're doing this, but I will disconnect the wiring harness that goes to the door. You can see it has a very easy to disconnect connector here. All you have to do is, if you can see that tab back there, pry it out towards the inside. And as you do that, that will unlock the larger tab, flip it down, and disconnect the connector. Now the wiring is completely disconnected, which is going to make things a lot easier. Next, I'm going to remove the door check from the body, remove the two 11mm bolts that hold this on. Now with a 13mm, I'm going to remove the lower mounting hardware that connects the hinge to the door. Do not remove it off of the body yet. These are both 13mm in size. Now let's unbolt the top hinge the same way as we did the bottom. And I have a second person holding the door because it will want to move away from the vehicle at this point. Okay, now it's unbolted. So I'm going to pull the door away. I have jack stands on the bottom supporting the weight of it. Now with the door off, we have a lot better access to this upper hinge, which as you can see is just held on with three 13mm fasteners. For these two over here, you're probably going to need some sort of a swivel. Just make sure you don't hit your fender and damage the paint. For this nut, I'm just going to use a ratchet. There's your hinge. The new hinge comes with a new nut and mounting stud, which is that one right there. So if you need one, you can use it. However, I'm going to take mine out of the new hinge because I don't need it, and the original one is still in perfect condition and it's already mounted. So go ahead and unthread the new one, which is actually a 12mm if you need to know the size. And once you have the nut off of here, the stud should push right out. Take the new hinge, slide it in position. Okay, I'm going to start with the mounting nut that goes here. And before I fully tighten this, I'm actually going to put in the two bolts. This will ensure that everything is nice and centered. You definitely want this to be perfect, otherwise your door will not shut properly or even seal properly. Now with everything situated, go ahead and snug up the bolts. Make sure they're nice and tight. Snug up the nut. I'm going to grab my longer wrench so I can make sure that it actually is properly tightened. And now we can put the door back on. Now grab the door, and with someone's help, go ahead and line it back up. Nope, got it. Okay, slide it into the hinges. I'm going to put on the two mounting nuts, both top and bottom. That way it's secured and it can't fall off while we adjust the rest of it. Let's put on the bolt on the bottom, make sure that lines up. Don't tighten it yet because we still have to put on the top one. Slide this one in. As you can see, it lines up. Let's get these fasteners a little bit closer, and I don't want to tighten them 100% yet, just because I need to make sure that they all line up the best they can, otherwise the door won't seal and won't close properly. I'm bottoming them out, but I am leaving some wiggle room in the door to move around. We do the same to the top. At this point, I'm just going to guess that this is where it's supposed to be. I snugged up the bottom. I'm going to snug up the top also, and then we'll close the door and figure out how exactly it's sitting, if it needs to be adjusted in any particular direction. Let's reconnect the wiring harness and put back the two door check bolts. Make sure they're nice and snug. Now I'm going to close the door and just make sure it closes properly. It does. It seems like the body line lines up perfectly. So I'd say that I guessed perfectly on the alignment of the bolts there. If yours is off, go ahead and loosen them up. Adjust the door up, down, forward, backwards, however you need to adjust it. Tighten them back up and try again. Having said that, the process is the same for any other hinge. There you go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.